Say hi, everyone.
Okay, so there's a lot of misconceptions and lies out there about the safety and efficacy of vaccines, and because of that, a lot of people are concerned over whether or not they should vaccinate themselves, their families, and most importantly, their children. Because of all this misconception and controversy that's out there, I think it's really important that people are able to make an informed decision, because this is obviously something that affects everyone and it affects other people and their health, which is something that no one can really avoid because you need your health to live. So I think after doing some research and finding sources that support the credibility of vaccines, that they're very safe and effective, and I'm going to tell you why in this speech. So according to the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease in 2014, the infection rate of polio, smallpox, and diphtheria decreased by 100% since the vaccine for those diseases has been created. Obviously, that proves that vaccines are very effective, and most people are on board with this because the survey I did found that only 14% of the respondents thought that vaccines weren't effective at preventing their respective diseases. So because of that, they're very effective, but a lot of people are also concerned about the safety. A lot of this is because they're not very well informed about vaccines, or they may be misinformed. So some people think, oh, if I live a clean lifestyle and I always wash my hands, I'll be safe from these diseases, but that's not true. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in 2017, some vaccine-preventable diseases can't be protected by a clean lifestyle because they're airborne, which means you inhale them. So washing your hands isn't going to prevent you from getting them. And additionally, despite this, some people still choose not to vaccinate. Some people have medical reasons, some people have non-medical reasons. And the CDC in 2018 said that certain people shouldn't be vaccinated for medical reasons. This includes if you're pregnant, if you have an allergy to a vaccine, or if you have a weakened immune system from HIV/AIDS, or if you're undergoing cancer treatment, because these vaccines can overwhelm your immune system, and that's something that's not needed. Additionally, if you're pregnant, that's a complication that's just not necessary because it can interfere with the pregnancy and the baby. And obviously, if you're allergic to a vaccine, you shouldn't get it because allergic reactions, although very rare, can be very dangerous. But despite that, most people do think vaccines are pretty safe. 86% of the respondents in my survey found that, or believed that vaccines were safe. So usually that's from misinformation if someone opts out because they think they're not safe. Additionally, the CDC in 2017 said that the US currently has the safest vaccine supply in history. But there are people that exempt these vaccines because of non-medical reasons, so if vaccination goes against their religious views, they may choose not to get their vaccinations. A lot of people in the survey were divided over this issue because nobody wants to trample on someone else's religious views, but because of that, it also nobody wants to have their religious views trampled on, but at the same time, if that interferes with someone else's health, that's an injustice that should not happen. Because vaccinations are important for the health of everyone, not just the one being vaccinated, as one said in my survey. And then if you choose not to vaccinate, there are consequences, not just the physical ones of the deadly diseases that you're not being vaccinated for, but there's also social consequences. An article in Time Health by Alexandra Sifferlin from 2014 said that choosing not to vaccinate has been shown to increase outbreaks of preventable diseases, and obviously that's one of the physical consequences, but there are social ones, such as what was stated in an article from The Atlantic from February 2015. A school in Traverse City, Michigan was no longer allowing unvaccinated children to attend their school because they didn't want the physical symptoms of those preventable diseases to affect those children that were vaccinated because they didn't want to be put at an unfair risk. And this is another controversial issue that I found in my survey. A lot of people are divided over the issue of should unvaccinated children be allowed to attend public schools with vaccinated children, because doing so puts those vaccinated children at risk. Some people believe that the child shouldn't be punished for something they have no control over. However, it goes back to those non-medical exemptions. You're putting others at an unfair risk for catching a deadly disease, and that's just not fair, because unvaccinated children are putting those vaccinated children at risk for a deadly disease. Additionally, the CDC in 2012 pointed out another point that said if there's an outbreak of a vaccine an outbreak of a vaccine-preventable disease, that child who's unvaccinated may be forced to stay home from school and other activities to keep them safe, but that may lead to drama between parents and the children as they don't understand the concept of why they can't go and see their friends, which is just an unnecessary stress. So to conclude, if you just vaccinate yourself and your children, you can avoid all of these deadly diseases and silly symptoms, and you can prevent any unnecessary drama. So just vaccinate, and that'll lead to a happier, healthier, and less stressful life.